Welcome everybody to another episode of Aaron Live. We are up to our ninth, I should really write that down before I start the show. We're going to pretend we're up to our ninth episode of Aaron Live. And Connor is telling me it's correct. And so we're excited to get into this one. This is where we get a chance to hang out with you for about an hour, 45 minutes an hour, and cover up a bunch of segments. And then at the end, we get to a bit of a Q&A and just have some fun. I think that's what we all want to do, right? Have some fun, enjoy life, enjoy business, and enjoy this amazing thing that we get to do. So listen, right now I want you to hit the like button. I want you to hit the share button because I've got some pretty cool prizes for you guys who are going to be playing full out over the course of this time together as well. So this show is designed to help you to do exactly that, to live by design and not live by default in your life and also in your business. So let's get into another episode of Aaron Live. Welcome to Aaron Live. Cheers, round of applause, studio audience. See? Yeah. Isn't that good, right? I didn't even have to prompt them. That was beautiful. That was perfect, right? So welcome to Aaron Live. We're excited to be here. We get to this once a month. We get to sit down. We get to go through a whole bunch of amazing stuff for you to help you guys be able to live by design, be able to do a few different things in your life and your business, and be able to share with you what's going on in this crazy world at the moment. So if you're new to this thing, you're in the right place at the right time. Hit the like button, share button, comment button, because I can see all your comments. You can send some comments into studio@aaronsansoni.com live for us to see, or you can say hi to us on Facebook. We're also on Instagram, so make sure you guys are having some fun and interacting with us. That's the reason why we put this show together. It's for you. So share this with someone that should be on right now. So listen, the first thing we get into when we do Aaron Live is our very first segment, and we call this the Biz News. Biz News. So listen, I spoke, I think, maybe was it last time, Connor, or maybe the episode before, we talked about driverless cars, because that's what we keep talking about, driverless cars, driverless everything, right? So driverless cars are coming into Singapore. We talked about that in 2020. Well, they've just released one recently, RAC, right? RACV if you're from Victoria, RAC if you're from other places. So these guys have just unveiled a prototype in WA, which is first of its kind, and it tops my Biz News today. They've unveiled a prototype in WA, which is the first of its kind, which is going to be a driverless car using an app kind of like Uber. So they've unveiled this now. The chief executive over there, Terry, said that they're already trialing driverless buses. That sounds pretty fucking dangerous if you ask me. But I'm sure it's not, disclaimer. But yeah, driverless technology is hitting Australia, but it's already now happening in Perth. I love it. It says it can go up to 90 kilometers an hour, driverless, 50 kilometers during the trial. But what I think is really interesting is that they've said is that because it's obviously rapidly growing, there's in the trials, there will be a person in the car to manually stop the car if it needs to be stopped. That doesn't give me confidence to have somebody else that has to be in the car to manually stop it. But WA, you guys know well, you guys get the first driverless cars. You guys get selected. So driverless technology, we talked about this, I think, the last couple of shows in different ways, but RAC are on it. They're on top of it, and these guys are already putting something in. I think this holds 9 seats, is it, Connor? 9 seats, 6 seats?
Right now, I can count
6 seats. That's pretty good. Yeah, 6 seats. There you go, 6 seats. That's pretty good, right? So interesting to watch this, and as this grows, there are so many players in the driverless market right now, and I really think over the next couple of years, we're going to see so many of these things open up. So that's my first one from the Biz News. Second, on the Biz News. Now, this is not as fun, but I've got to speak about it because this is the business news. I want to speak about GDPR. If you have no idea what that means, let me tell you, General Data Protection Regulation. So if you've been paying attention in the last couple of months, there's been a lot of data changes right across the world, but specifically around Europe, the right to be forgotten, the GDPR. So a lot of Australian businesses don't think it affects them, but in actuality, it does. And you need to be aware of some of the changes that are happening right now. So a few things you need to know about this. If you are watching this right now and you turn over a business with more than $3 million, then if you breach that, which means that if somebody hacks into your system, they get access to your data, there's massive fines in Australia and also in Europe. But here's a couple of things you need to know about, even if you don't turn over that much money. There's a couple of things. If you've got any customers or anyone that interacts with your business at all that is an EU citizen, as an Australian business, you still fall under these regulations. So even though this is not that amazing to talk about when it comes to the biz news, I want to get this across to you today because I think it's so important. So I want you to write this down because this article comes from a website called August.com as in the month. And there's a really great article that these guys have written by Rowan Barnes and Sarah. They wrote an article about how this affects Australian businesses. So here's the snapshot that you guys need to know about. First and foremost, here's a really interesting table that they have when they talk about this. If right now in your business you have, let's say, a newsletter subscription and you want to subscribe people to that, we know that we need to have a general consent. But in the way that you're collecting data online from people, there needs to be an extra step in there that notifies them that you're collecting their data for that specific purpose. That's the same with the website contact inquiry, and it's the same with an e-commerce transaction. Now, here's the other interesting thing about e-commerce. If you sell anything to anybody in Europe, just because they buy something from your website, even if they give you their money, their credit card, their home address, their phone number, their email address, if they don't say you're allowed to put them on your email list and you email them anything else but that receipt, you are breaching the Data Act, which means you can get fined as well. So I could speak about literally on Aaron Live the whole hour just about the changes that are here. All I will say is this: if you right now run a global business and you have any customers that pay you money or prospects that are finding you that are EU citizens, the global data changes that are happening right now will affect your business as well. So you need to get across these. I've probably looked at about a dozen articles, and I think the one on August.com about what it means for Australian businesses is probably the best one for what you guys have a bit of a look at as well. It is definitely affecting you if you run a business here in Australia, and like many things, ignorance is not an excuse. So make sure you guys check out what's happening across the European data, and I really think this is going to be starting to really go across most countries where we're seeing this kind of global idea of data that's being handled as well. So it's not just about breaches. It's about how you're handling that data and what consent people are giving you as well. So make sure you're up to date on this. If you are doing any marketing, or even if even if you don't market in Europe, if you've got something on your Facebook site and it gets shared by somebody that is an EU citizen or by anyone that goes to somebody that sees it in Europe, if they look at your website and if they interact with it in a way that you've not looked at through this here, you can be liable as well. So although talking about fun data protection is not exactly the fun, exciting stuff, it's important for your business as well. It is probably the second biggest thing other than the tax reform in Australia, probably the second biggest thing that's hit Australian businesses this year. So make sure you check it out. That is my second one for the biz news. Finally, you can give a round of applause. There you go. Why not? All right, how do you make a really fucking boring subject exciting? You give it a round of applause. So the last one, which is exciting, listen, here's my life goal. I want you to write this down. Aaron wants to get invited to Sun Valley, Idaho for the billionaires boot camp that they have over there. Now, it's not like one of my boot camps that I get to hold. This thing there, right? There's in Sun Valley, which is in Idaho, there's a big retreat that they have there every single year, and it's invite only. And to go there, you need to either be a billionaire or be the head of a $1 billion company. And to paint you a picture, this is like summer camp for billionaires, right? It's private, it's secluded, no one can get there. And listen, let me give you the gravity of this thing. Last year, let me give you some of the guest list. Even though the guest list is kept secret, this is the guest list that we know about from last year. At boot camp, at summer camp, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Oprah Winfrey, right? And the list goes on. I'm talking like anyone that you think and you idolize in this world goes to this boot camp. We've got, Tim Cook from Apple's going there. The head of Netflix has gone there. Mark Zuckerberg, all of these guys, not like one boot camp, over the 35 years that Alan and Cole have been doing it. I'm talking about every year these guys turn up. And what happens is they do some of the biggest deals happen in those rooms in between, you know, jumping off the jet skis and doing all the fun stuff you do at summer camps. And a sidebar, summer camps in America are so much more fun than in Australia. So they're so much more fun than Australia. Our summer camps suck here compared to America. So imagine what you know about summer camp, but imagine Warren Buffett jumping off a lilo or something, you know what I mean? Imagine that. Wouldn't that be cool? So I want to get invited to that thing. That'll just be amazing to watch those deals that are happening there. So that's happening. It happens every year. They do it once a year, and they call it the summer camp for billionaires as well. But I mean, huge mergers have come out of there. So the recent Disney deal, it's talked about, and all of it's private, so all the speculation comes out of it. But the deal that Disney just did that brought up most of the media outlets around the world, that was done in there. The saying goes that that WhatsApp was going to be bought in there, and that so Instagram, they offered $500 million to buy Instagram. The guy offered it to the founders, but then didn't like how it was just a handshake deal, so he walked away. So Zuckerberg got in there and bought it, spent half a million dollars more and bought it for $1 billion, but he snagged the deal, and this was all done by a campsite, right? How good is that? That's what we need to do, right? More deals need to be done at the camp. I wonder if our political system would be better if they did it at the summer camp. Imagine if they came up with all the laws at a summer camp in between that. Amazing, right? So check it out. It is definitely, it's definitely one to check out. See who's going there, see what deals are being made as well. But billionaire summer camp, that sounds like a summer camp you want to go to as well, right? Love it. And that's business news. Love it.
Let's get invited.
All right, I'm going that for sure. I'm going to creep in. I'm going to serve platters if I have to. I'm like, Warren, did you order another Coke? There you go, it's for you. No, I'm coming. I'm going to be there. All right, next up, we have something that we love to call crushing it. Next up, crushing it. All right, so every single episode, I like to look at people that are crushing in different ways, whether it be people, whether it be a company. And there's a lot of awards. This is like award season that comes out for businesses right now. And one of those awards that just came out recently that caught my eye was the Brisbane Young Entrepreneur of the Year Award 2018, which was just announced. And that was won by a guy by the name of Ben Bradshaw. Now, Ben's been involved in a huge amount of businesses himself, but one of the things he's really done well is around the digital marketing space. And what he's really done in the last couple of years to win the top prize is several businesses he's put under his main brand, which is called Disrupt Digital. And these guys are exploding right now. Their goals are by 2020, he plans to have their sponsored links, which is one of their companies, to be managing $1 billion in ad spend, and they're on track to do that. Not bad for a startup company in Brisbane. So this is expected to be achieved by their New Zealand and their US expansion. So they're doing so well just here in Australia. They're kicking butt in the digital world, and Ben gets my Crushing It award for kicking ass and winning the Young Entrepreneur of the Year 2018 award. One round of applause for Ben.
Yes.
Well done, Ben. The best I got was nominated for Entrepreneur of the Year. I didn't get to win that, unfortunately. All right, next up, we are going to have a quick video break for you guys, because I got to let you know something, is that I'm doing a tour next month, which I used to say was in 4 cities, and I realized it's in 5 cities. I learned how to count now. I'm going to be in Auckland, I'm going to be in Brisbane, I'm going to be in Sydney, I'm going to be in Melbourne, I'm going to be in Perth for an evening with me, 3-4 hours, where I'm going to be going hard at it, business, life, and how you guys can perform. So if you want to come and learn about what that's all about, how about you check out one of our last tours? And after I show you this quick video, I'm going to be back to what I call my Mentor Minute, where I get a chance to train you on something live here in the studio. Check this video out.
Sorry, did you say that was next month? Isn't it next week?
Is it next week? Did I say next month? Let me check my diary. It's next week. I'm going to be there. Love it. All right, check this video out and see if you guys want to come and hang out with us. Around for 35 years, been around. Hey, we on Insta? Welcome back to Aaron Live. So listen, I hope you guys have enjoyed the start of today and the start of our little hour together. And I've got some prizes. I found these here. These are going to be hand signed and sent out to the person I think writes the best comment today. Because at the end of this episode, we're going to be doing the Aaron's advice. So if you've got any questions right now, signed bands worn by me, we're going to be sending those out to anyone that's got great questions as well. So make sure you guys sign those. Make sure you guys send those questions in the comments below, and we're going to be sending out some signed paraphernalia right out to you guys for the best comments that we get as well. So let's get started with what I call the Mentor Minute. All right, welcome back. If you missed that, remember what we said. We're going to do Aaron's advice at the end of Aaron Live today. And for the best questions, we're going to be sending out some signed bands and some merchandise as well. So make sure you guys get those questions going in. You can send it to studio@aaronsensen.com, or you can do the comments below in Instagram, or you can do it in Facebook as well. So, Mentor Minute, all right? I can't get together and hang out with you guys unless I get a chance to be able to teach and train you something. So, someone who's been an idol for me, and not just because she goes to the billionaire boot camp, summer camp that they have, but Oprah Winfrey is someone that I've followed for many years now. She's in my book, Think Like, if a lot of you guys maybe have read that book. And, you know, anyone that can go from where she has to where she is now one of the most influential people in the world, creating the fortune that she's done, the empire that she's done, then you can learn something from her. So I got to hang out with her about a year or so ago, and we got to go to one of the big events here, one of my students, Jared, and hung out with about 13,000 people right up the front that were coming to watch her. And as I was listening to her, I was thinking, and as I've studied her when I wrote about her in my Think Like book, I was thinking about all the lessons that we can learn from Oprah. And if you think about her, think about it, Oprah became famous, created a brand, and created an amazing amount of businesses on the back of getting associated with being around people that had a message to share. One of the things that really stuck out for me from meeting Oprah and hearing about her story is that she's interviewed 35,000 people. 35,000 people, right? I've been hanging out for 11 years helping people. I reckon I've probably interviewed, let's call it 50, right? She's done 35,000 people, from people that are in jail for the most horrific things to the most successful people in the world in every discipline. She's been able to interview those people. So she's learned a huge amount by doing that. But there's a really good branding point in there that she built her brand on the back of interviewing other people that had brands and eventually created the billion-dollar brand herself. So I wanted to share that with you because one of the things I'm sitting there listening to Oprah is that she became famous through initially her talk show. And I think there's a really good branding point that we can learn from that as well. So one of the things that I learned from her, when I look at there was about 7-8 points that I wrote down in my diary, in my book when I was listening to Oprah. One of the first things that I really liked about her is that she talks about the energy that people bring into spaces. And somebody recently talked to me about this and they said, you know, sometimes people are, what do they call it? They call it, energy vampires. You know, she says, if you're going to come into a space, if you're going to go into a business meeting, if you're going to go into your home, if you're going to go into a workplace, if you're going to hop into the back of an Uber, bring the energy into that and be responsible for that. And I like that because if you think about it, if you've got great energy about you, you're around other people that maybe don't have that kind of energy, you raise them up. And if you want to be able to influence and persuade anybody, then having them at an energy level that you want might be an important thing. But even better than that, you want to make sure that you feel great and you want to make sure that you don't get pulled down by other people's energy that are around you that maybe don't match your own. But I like the first thing that she came out with, this billionaire, this person that's responsible for huge amounts of change in the world, both philanthropic and also building her empire, talks about the energy that you bring into a space. So for me, I think that's incredibly important. And what if you just decided that every single time you got into a space with anybody, you said, well, what energy am I bringing into this? What energy am I bringing into, my home when I go home if I've had a big day? What energy am I bringing into the office when I walk in for the first time? What energy am I bringing into an elevator full of people? I don't know. But you got to make sure that you're responsible for that energy. Whether you've got something that's going on in your life that's not great, or whether you've got something that's going on in your life that is great, what you can choose to do is you can choose to respond in the way that's going to serve you. So I love that. I love that she led with that, and she spoke about the energy that you have around you, whether it's a positive energy, whether it's a negative energy, and whether you help uplift people or whether you're taking something away. Second thing that I learned about her is talking about living with intention. Now she's talked about this for a long time. I've been following Oprah for a very, very long time and watching her story, she's progressed. And one of the things that really stuck out for me is she talked a lot about intention. So intention, if you think about her way of talking about it, is similar to my way of talking about design, where intention is saying, what do I want? What do I want in life? What kind of relationship do I want? How do I want to be as a human being? What do I want to look like? What do I want to feel like? What kind of job do I want to be in? Who do I want to be surrounded by? Having an intention in your life, similar to when I talk about having a design, which is one of the reasons why I loved it, is because it's so familiar with what I teach, which is living by design and not living by default. So the question for you and the takeaway for you when it comes to this Mentor Minute is, are you living with intention? Have you stopped for a second and said, well, how do I want my day to be? How do I want to be able to show up? What do I want to do? What do I want to do in my life to make sure that I've got the intent on what I want to achieve? What sort of parent do I want to be? What sort of businessman or woman do I want to be? What kind of leader do I want to be? What is the intention that you have? And how do you want to design the life that you want? And when she talked about that, it resonated hugely with me, and I hope it does with you as well. Third thing, she talked about paying attention to what makes you curious. Now, I like this point because what she was talking about when she spoke about this is that ultimately you're going to create something in your life that maybe is your income, or maybe is the thing that you get to add value to. But sometimes you might not be doing something that's totally in alignment with what makes you curious in life, what makes you grow in life. So she said, if you're in a job, if you're an accountant and you hate being an accountant and you don't necessarily want to do anything else, I would implore you to go do something you want to do though, then find something that makes you curious. Find something that maybe you love, how the animal world works. Maybe you love astrology. Maybe you love painting. What's something that makes you curious in life, and how can that keep you focused on growing and evolving? Because when she spoke about paying attention to what makes you curious, what she was saying is that those are the little points in life that grow you as a human being, as opposed to that daily grind that you go through. Because if you think about it, everything is new to you until you understand it. Then it becomes rote. Then it becomes old. If you've never gone out there and swung a bat before, if you're playing cricket, and you go do it for 10 years in a row, it becomes part of what you know. You don't become as curious about that thing because you understand it. Whereas she talks about curiosity being that element that grows you spiritually, that grows you within business as well. So she said, pay attention to those things, because she actually said that it's a window to your soul. It's a window to the things that you really care about in life as well. I thought that was a really interesting way to put it as well. Fourth thing is invest in you. Now, coming from somebody that, if you've ever watched my journey or heard me speak, I first got into business thinking that I absolutely knew everything because I came from a sales and a marketing background. I fell completely on my face, lost all of the money that I had, and had to go with my tail between my legs, go get a third mortgage on my only home that I had, and beg my wife to be able to agree to do that, and then go and find the things that I didn't know, the things I didn't know about the world of online marketing, the things I didn't know about the world of selling online or marketing or branding online, all those things that I didn't understand about accounting, or about the difference between black and red, when you come to looking at your numbers. I didn't understand any of that stuff, and that was the reason why some of my businesses weren't working out. So I decided to go back and invest into me. And she talks about that in herself. She talks about how she invests in her own knowledge and the things that she's trying to learn as well. So one of the key points, which is her fourth point, I can't say that I disagree with that. I think investing in you is really important. And if you don't have a huge amount of money to be able to go and sit with Oprah and have her as your private mentor, then maybe start with an ebook. The information age that we're in means that you have access to information more than you've ever had before. When I first started out, I remember going to events and seminars and going to every single one that I could and hoping there was going to be a free one, and sitting up the back and writing all the notes down, and then going through person after person until I found one that really resonated with me. me. And then what really changed it after I learned something was then taking the action I needed as well. So invest in you in every possible way. And this is not just about investing in your knowledge to create the business that you want. This is investing in you. You know, if you want to have the body that you want, then go spend a couple of bucks on a personal trainer and stop buying lunch every day. Go and spend a couple of dollars on you know, going and seeing a naturopath or going and, you know, seeing a health practitioner that's going to give you some stuff to make you feel better. Go do the things that are going to make you feel how alive you want to be. She speaks about this and she lives by this as well. So I love the idea of investing in you. Fifth thing, no is a complete sentence. Now, when she first said that, I was wondering where she was going with it, but over a time, she says, one of the keys to my success, and this is almost the opposite to what Richard Branson speaks about, is that, you know, he speaks about saying yes and working out later. Oprah says because she got so busy in her life and because she wanted to live in intention, she got really good at saying no. And what she said by that is that she used to, when she was younger and someone would say to her, listen, Oprah, can you do this for me? Or, you know, can you please come and hang out here or come to this event that she didn't want to do? She used to say no and then try and justify why she couldn't do it. Whereas she got to a point in her life where she became so comfortable, she just said, no, I just don't want to do it, or I can't do that thing. Unfortunately, I can't do that. And she says, as an entrepreneur, you need to get good at saying no and not having to justify your actions. Getting good at saying, you know, that's not for me, or being around somebody is not for you. Like if you've got a friend, and we call it friend, that, you know, hasn't really served you, not having to drag out that process where you no longer become friends, just say, you know what, this is no longer serving me, I'm done. I can't have this anymore. Or if there's a decision that you want to make, instead of just sitting on the fence, it's saying no. It's making a decision to say no and not have to justify what that may be. So one of the things I loved about that is you talked about the justification that people have. And you don't have to justify yourself. You say, no, you don't want to do something. And anything that gets you to make a decision I like. You know, if you say, I'm a yes person, I say yes, you know, majority of the time. But anything that gets you out of indecision, and if you follow anything I say, you know that indecision is a decision, it's a no. If you can go from saying yes or no quickly and rapidly, then you're going to start making the kind of decisions that the billionaires in the world have to make to be able to have the kind of time management that they want. So no is a complete sentence. You don't have to justify why you are saying no. It is saying no and knowing if something's not true to you, then it's not true to you as well. Next, number 6, be you. Be you. How much more do I have to say about being you? Be you, be yourself, be authentic. I think every single person in the world that speaks about developing yourself to become the kind of person you want to be talks about being you. You know, they talk about being authentic. They talk about all the things that you need to understand about yourself and share those. You know, trying to be somebody else that you're not, you know, and trying to share that with people. A, it's exhausting. B, you've got to remember everything. And C, you know, you're never living congruently. So being authentic and being you is the most critical thing for me. And I think if you understand that about yourself and you go out there and you be yourself, you'll attract the tribe, you'll attract the customer, you'll attract the prospect, you'll attract the friends that are like you, that want to be around you. If you're not being yourself and you're being somebody different, that's when you start attracting people that are not in alignment with you, that you don't get anything from, they don't get anything from you, and you start to move off your path of your intention. Being you is probably one of the most powerful things that you can be. But on that, we know that you're going to have to risk judgment. But maybe that's a whole different conversation for us today. But if you're going to be you knowing that people are going to judge you, and that's okay. Because the people that judge you are the people that shouldn't be around you anyway. So I like that point from her. Being you is critical. And the other thing that she talks about is that everything happens to you, happens for you and not to you. Now, I've talked about this for a long time. And I think that if you can understand something, that if anything's happened to you in business or in your own personal life, and if you can't change that, if you can't change what's happened, if you can't change the result of what's happened, you can choose how you want to respond as opposed to reacting. So if you've gone through a painful situation and you've lost a lot of money, you can look at that and say, that was painful, I lost a lot of money, and I'm definitely not going to trust anybody else again. Or you can look at that and say, I just spent $100,000 on education because that mistake cost me $100,000. So I've just paid that to the education bank, which is called mistake, university or mistake college, and now I feel better about that. Because you feel better about it, right? You're choosing to respond as opposed to reacting a way that's not serving you. So I like that. And if you look through Oprah's story and you look at her growing up in an apartheid state, you look at her going through abuse, whether it be physical, sexual, emotional, all those things that she had to go through. If she was a victim and she labeled herself as that victim, she would not be Oprah Winfrey that you and I both look up to today, because she decided that things happened for her and not to her. And I love that analogy as well. I think it's critical. So I hope you've taken something from that. And one of the things I want to talk to you guys about today is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Everyone has the power of greatness, but greatness, because greatness is determined by service. Service is the ultimate determination for the fame that you can create. And that is Oprah Winfrey. If you think about what she's done, she epitomizes that quote. So I hope you guys took a lot from that. Thank you. And next up, we've got Aaron's advice. After a very, very short break, I want to show you guys something very cool, because once a year, I get to do this somewhere in Australia, and this year it's going to be in Sydney. In a couple of weeks, I'm going to be hanging out in Sydney doing one of my favorite events, which is called Sales Mastery. So if you're in business and you want to learn how to make more sales, you want to learn how to generate more leads, then maybe come and hang out with us at Sales Mastery. So check out a quick trailer about Sales Mastery.
What can I say? Amazing experience, intense, absolutely what I needed, not what I expected, and life-changing. That's all I can say, is life-changing, absolutely life-changing.
It was just about creating that path and actually being there, and it's just amazing how things just fall into place when you do trust what's put in front of you.
Everyone that implements gets a result. I know my worth, and I raise to my worth. My question is really simple. Who chose your worth? Who dares put a price tag on you without your permission? You're an incredible human being with an incredible story. And until you decide to choose your worth, you are going to be living by default and not by design.
I feel as though I finally have a grasp on exactly where I want to take my business.
Hi guys, I'm Jamie. After working with Aaron now for 7 months, it's been an amazing journey, but we've been able to turn over now $85,000.
In the past 6 months, I have earned $100,000 richly into my pocket.
So Aaron has helped me to make, last year we made $986,000.
The last 3 months I've earned $54,000, and I've really enjoyed the process. It's not about the money now, it's actually how many people I can change.
10 minutes ago, guys, I've achieved 50% more commission from a vendor who was trying to put a price tag on me by applying some of the stuff that Aaron has taught us in the last 2 days.
I've had a deal that was lagging for 3 weeks. Everyone was at a stalemate, and what Aaron taught me enabled me to close that deal while I was here today.
I've done $1.3 million in sales in 8 weeks since meeting Aaron Sein Sen. It's been amazing. Last 3 days, Sales Mastery, been playing full out, loving it.
We're back. Welcome back. I was too busy signing wristbands. You guys, great comments. You're going to get some wristbands sent out to you. Connor, do we ever have anyone that stands out so far?
Oh, yes. Ainsley.
Ainsley wins everything.
Dominating.
She dominates everything, right? I think you got some gloves as well when we were in Perth from Michelle Bridges, yeah? I think you got up on stage. In the heels, on stage doing boxing. I remember it at eSum recently. Well done. So we've got a couple of wristbands to get out to you guys as well. So welcome back, and I'm looking forward to seeing a bunch of you guys at Sales Mastery or at one of our events. Come and hang out with us. We'd love to do that. Myself and my little bobblehead over here. We need to get a new one, maybe with no hair. That might be important. This is like 11 years old. Where do you buy bobbleheads now? I don't know. I think my wife bought this for me. Is that pretty cool? Can you get a zoom on that? Everyone asks about this bobblehead, but they haven't seen it before. You got to zoom right in. That's it. It's like a slow zoom. Oh, this is like a Bold and Beautiful's time. This is like a Bold and Beautiful zoom. Zoom back again. It's like a Bold and Beautiful zoom, isn't it? Like a moment. I love that. I had a moment. So Sales King, there he is. Okay, good. Let's get into it. I hope you guys learned something from the Mentor Minutes. I have so much time for Oprah and what she's gone through and what she's built. And I think there's some great nuggets in there as well that I, going back through my notes from when I got to hang out and take some great learnings from her with one of my students. I thought I wanted to share some of that with you guys today as well. So welcome back, and it's time for us to talk about one of my favorite segments, which really, I'm going to take guys. Let's just do the quick intro for what I call WTF, or in other words, what the fuck. And it's my favorite intro because it's Jackie Chan, but you're gonna show it. We always show it twice. We say we're only going to show it once, but we always show it twice. So WTF, I'm going to change this segment name. Is that the third time? We're just going for third time lucky. Is that? I'm going to change this segment name to What's Elon Musk Up To? Should we change that to What's Elon Musk Up To?
Yes. Yeah.
Jesus.
It only means I get to look at more photos of Elon Musk.
So WTF this week, what do you think? Is called Shit Elon Says Part 2. So recently, if you're alive and you have social media, you'll know that there's a few things that have happened. First, before we talk about the most obvious, is that he goes on a rant a little while ago and calls a scuba diver, deep diver, rescue dude a pedophile, allegedly. I don't know what we're supposed to say. Twitter. I think he actually said it, right? Then he retracts and says he doesn't mean it. Then he says, actually he does, right? And he says that, I'm going to read you what he says. In a series of emails to BuzzFeed, Musk asserted that Unsworth, that's a dude's name, moved to a location in Thailand because a child bride who was 12 years old at the time, and in that area he moved to was only known for child sex trafficking, not cave diving. This is coming from the CEO and owner of Tesla. He said that other members of the rescue team refused to hang out with him and that he never saw Unsworth during his visit. Can't he just say sorry and then shut the fuck up?
He said, it was such a... hey, I'm very sorry and I didn't mean it, but then immediately,
how does that... Later, he just how do you just... So then he goes and decides to go on one of the most famous podcasts around, I'd say, which is the Joe Rogan podcast, Joe Rogan Experience podcast. And he goes on this on 2 weeks ago, and live on the podcast, he starts smoking a joint.
Wow.
And the host tells him, Joe, that it's legal in California. And during the episode, Musk looks at his phone and he says that a lot of people on his phone are texting him, asking him why he's smoking a joint. And straight away after that, Tesla lost another 10% on the share market. So for a company that's worth $80 billion, you can work out what 10% looks like. It's recovered a little bit since then, but it really hasn't. So there you go. If you want to learn how not to do a podcast, go and check out what Elon Musk does. What does he think that that's a good idea?
I don't know, but he's my hero.
Can you show me that photo again? Can you show me that photo again? Yeah, I want to see it again. That's my favorite photo. That's a great photo.
Yeah.
That's a great photo. So I don't know what people are thinking on the share. Do we invest? Do we not invest? But Shit Elon Says Part 2. If I'm a betting man, next month will be Shit Elon Says Part 3. What do you think? That'll be happening next month. Please, Elon, do something dramatic so I can talk about you next month. So Elon Musk, because you are going crazy towns at the moment, I still have a lot of respect for you, but this is some interesting times for you ahead. You get my WTF. Elon Musk, everybody. So on the other side of the coin, from some people that don't smoke marijuana, this would be my section I call Love It. My love it. So I'm always looking for people, I'm looking for things, I'm looking for apps, I'm looking for, software, I'm looking for products, I'm looking for services. I'm always looking for different things that I think are doing really, really well. Things that I love in new spaces, or maybe they're growing. And this one goes to the latest one from a company called Photon, the founders of Photon, Brisbane entrepreneurs. Brisbane are really, really getting up there, aren't they, in this Aaron Live? Brisbane are winning everything. So Photon founders are entrepreneurs Kristen and Nadine. So Kristen Soluis and Nadine Bates, I'm positive I said Kristen's name wrong, have just launched their first app, and it showcases Australian talent on the smaller screen. So what I love about this is it's called Kindergo. So if you've got children, look this up and download this app. It's called Kindergo. If you don't have children, it's a bit weird to download it, so don't do it. This is described as a digital playground that focuses on enticing children to use fun languaging and using some unique illustrations. So what it does is it really showcases a lot of Australian authors. So authors, writers, illustrators publishing content on their forum, and that allows kids to learn in a unique way. I like that because it talks about lockout timing features, which are always important for kids as well. No ad guarantee, educational content. And look, I put it to you this way, anything that is going to teach a child to do something that isn't what we were taught when we were at school in the way that we were taught it, I'm all up for that. Because I know that when most of us went to school, if you didn't sit down and you didn't cross your legs and pay attention, you went to detention. And that's probably the reason why I was almost expelled from preps. That's another story. Do you know, Connor, I was almost expelled from preps?
Really?
Yeah. I was the only kid in my school to ever get almost expelled from preps because in the first week I got up and went over it was reading time and I couldn't sit properly, so I got up and some kid said something to me across the room, so I got up, I walked over, I punched the kid in the head, and I went back and I sat back down like nothing ever happened, and then I'm sitting there in the principal's office wondering what's going on. My poor family. So that was my almost expelled from school story. So anything you're a rebel because you're a drummer.
I was going to say, I wonder what Elon.
I know, right? Exactly. I thought Elon was bad. He wasn't 5 years old punching kids in the head. He's just 50-something smoking weed instead, right? So listen, one of the things I love about this is this, if any way that you can train kids to learn in different ways, having a 4.5-year-old, having a 1.5-year-old myself, anything you can learn to help them to learn in a more fun way instead of that rote, way of drilling kids. And I can actually speak on experience, and I can also speak on it from academic experience because my wife is doing a PhD in this at the moment. And, education, delivering education to kids through rote memory, as we would probably think, isn't helping anybody in the 21st century to become a thinker. So anything that can help kids to think better and learn, I'm all up for. So well done, Kindergo. You get this month's Love It. Well done. Kindergo. Good. Make sure you guys are giving us some comments. If you've got any questions, let us know. We're not far away from getting into my Aaron's advice at the end. So if you've got some questions about anything I've shared with you guys today or anything else, you just want to ask a question about your business, this is a chance for you guys to do it. The guys will arrange for me to answer about 3 or 4 questions. You can either go on Instagram, on Facebook, or you can send it into studio@aaronsansoni.com. Next, and finally, before we get into questions, we're going to get into this section, which we call Aaron's Top 10. All right, Aaron's Top 10. Now, this is actually a top 25, right? But we had to narrow this down, didn't we, Connor?
Yeah.
Top 25, but we made it a top 10. So the top 10 list, this comes from LinkedIn. I really love this one. And they talked about the top 10 Australian startups of this year. And, people that have been, now with startup doesn't mean in the last 12 months, it means they're, relatively young company. So here are the Australian top 10 startups of 2018 via LinkedIn. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for this? Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Here we go. Number 1, well, actually number 10, because we're going to go the other way. Yeah, we'll do that. Number 10 is Bench. These guys are from Sydney. These guys are an integrated performance marketing platform used globally by top brands and agencies. These guys have been around for only a few years, and these guys have already become a global player. These guys are based in Sydney, and they're doing some major things in Australasia as well. Love it. Already doing well in Australia, already doing well around the globe, already dominating Australasia. So check those guys out. Bench, they're in Sydney. Next up, some of you guys might have heard of these if you're in the world of e-commerce in business. These guys are called Assembly Payments, and they're based in my hometown of Melbourne. Melbourne, which is the place that is better than Sydney.
Yeah.
That's weird. Half of our audience from Sydney just dropped off. We have a fun relationship with Sydney. So Assembly Payments, they're an end-to-end payment platform. These guys are great. I love what they've done. These really looked at the complexity that was happening a lot around the market of payments, because fintech has been the biggest growing sector in Australia by far when it comes to startups. It has been for the last 3 or 4 years. Some of the biggest money made has come from the fintech stocks in the last 12 to 24 months on the ASX, but these guys are doing really well. These guys have got a really good place right now. They're designed for marketplaces, platforms, financial institutions, and Assembly unlocks new business value both online and in-store while removing the headaches of fraud, security, and compliance. That's really good. They're doing really well. And let me tell you something, any company that's getting up the stakes when it comes to being a top business in Australia that's in the fintech in a really competitive environment, these guys are doing well. So check out what Assembly Payments are doing in Melbourne, and well done for for winning number 9. Number 8, we have a company that's all about fresh food, kind of like real food vending. Have you heard of them before, Connor? Yeah. Kind of like real food vending. This one is called U Foods, and they're based out of Brisbane. They're right now, they're Australia's leading fresh meal company. They're delivering healthy, chef-made meals. And these guys are dominating right now. They're doing really well in supermarkets, and they're doing really well with home delivery services as well. So those guys have only been around for a few years from Brisbane, and they won the number 8 spot on the LinkedIn top 10 Australian startups as well. One on U Foods.
Have you tried the U Foods?
Yeah, I have actually. I prefer. Do you? Yeah, I prefer the real food. Number 7. Number 7. I have to disclose it. It's one of my students that owns that real food. Number 7. Verson Sydney. These guys are great. They provide technology transformation services for enterprise clients as well. So Verson they've been under the radar for the last couple of years in what they've done, but check these guys out. These guys are doing really well in Sydney. Again, fintech space. Check out, what I like about the fintech space is A, if you're in fintech, you can learn from what the guys that are winning are doing. And B, when you're looking at a market that are going to a competitive market, looking at a company that are going to a competitive market and dominating, start paying attention to the way that they're marketing and branding themselves, and also pay attention to the way that they onboard clients, their whole funnel process, and pay attention to the setup process. Everything you can learn from these guys that are doing well, because they're winning in a competitive market. So forget that it's fintech. Look at any business. Any business is going to win in a competitive market. There's always going to be ingredients to that as well. So check out Verson and check out a lot of these guys that are doing well. Number 6. We've spoken about these guys before. They're also from Sydney. And the number 6 award for the top 10 Australian startups via LinkedIn goes to Prosper. So Prosper right now, again in fintech, these guys are Australia's number 1 lender to small businesses right now. They offer business loans of between $5,000 and $250,000 with no security required, and you can access up to $100,000 pretty instantly. These guys were awarded the leading innovator in 2017 as well, which is obviously great for them. They've got the FinTech Business Awards, the Smart Company Awards. These guys have done really well. And again, the lending market, again around the financial technology, the lending market is booming, and Prosper are killing it. Check out what these guys are doing. They got the number 6 award from LinkedIn as well. Number 5. These guys, you might have heard of them before. They're just a small company. They're called Airtasker. Yes. Airtasker, right? Airtasker, aren't they a godsend, right? Airtasker, Sydney-based company which provides online... I'm not even going to read about this. Airtasker in Sydney. If you don't know who they are, then you shouldn't be watching the show. Number 4. Koala. You might have seen their ads. Koala. Koala are doing really well in Sydney. Now, I like what these guys are doing because they're gone out there. So they're a furniture company, but you might know them when it comes to the mattresses, because that's been the big thing they've been delivering on as well, literally. One of the reason they've done well is they do sofas as well, but offering 4-hour delivery, and 120-night trial of their products. Simple. So I want to liken that to Zappos. How did Zappos and Tony Hsieh go from a $50 million company, which is what they were about 8 years ago, to a $1.5 billion company in 18 months? By addressing one concern that every consumer had about buying shoes online, which is what Zappos does. And that was, if it doesn't fit, I'm screwed. So they allowed people to buy shoes If it didn't fit, there was an express bag that they could send those back to free of charge on Zappos. Zappos would pay for it. Then Zappos would express back to them, on them as well, the correct size. They did that one thing. $50 million to $1.5 billion company in 18 months, and Tony Hsieh's now become a success story because of it. What did Koala do? Koala paid attention to the market because nobody likes to see people going into Maya, laying on the bed, making humping actions, jumping up and down, right? It's true, right? Does anyone want to see that? And how do you properly test a bed without actually sleeping on it? How do you? No one lays on their bed for 2 minutes, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. No one does that. Whereas Koala said, okay, don't come in here and jump on the bed and look like a fucking twat. Instead, why don't you take it home and actually it's 4-hour delivery, which means that you get the service quicker than Maya serve you in store. Yeah. Do you like that? 4-hour delivery. And Maya, if you don't like that, it's the truth. 4-hour delivery, right? And then you get a 120-day trial as well. And they're winning number 4 in the top startups in Australia. Well done, Koala. Number 3. These guys are called Essent. Damn, I practiced that as well. Essent in Adelaide. These guys are employee-owned digital and business advisory firm. These guys are doing really well right now, besides not being able to say the name. Number 3, these guys are one in Adelaide. Number 3, good old Radelaide getting up there in there, hey? I thought Radelaide was all just about drinking wine and hanging out. I actually quite like Adelaide. Adelaide used to get a bad rap. Who's been to Adelaide in the audience? No. You guys? Yeah. No? Luciana, you've not been there? No. Oh my God, you've been to everywhere. It's nice. I like Adelaide. Shout out to Adelaide. Sydney. I love you, Sydney. All right, number 2. Expert 360, these guys from Sydney as well. These guys, online marketing, co-founded by Bridget and Emily. These guys are, as again, from Sydney. They do the digital platform, again, matching independent business consultants with clients on short-term project. Expert 360, these guys have done really well. They've got the number 2 award right now. And again, what have they done? They've gone into a market where they're matching haves with have-nots. They've gone into a market, they haven't had to be the experts. They've found the people that are the experts. They've found the people that want to hit the experts, and they've matched these guys together as well. So I love that. They win the number 2 award by LinkedIn Top 10 Australian Startups. And number 1. We need that, that sign that turns on that says applaud or drum roll, or can we get that one? Number 1, and I've spoken about these guys before, but they've done so well. We're going to speak about them again. And LinkedIn have nominated these guys for the number 1 Australian startup of 2018, and that is Canva in Sydney. Graphic design website founded in 2012, drag and drop format. Oh, don't we love drag and drop? Drag and drop format, millions of photographs, graphics, fonts, everything that's used, non-designers and professionals. What do? They said you don't have to go and spend time with a designer that doesn't understand what you want. You can go do it yourself if you can use great tools, great technology, and you can do it instantly, and any moron can create any graphics. And guess what? They've become one of our most successful startups in the last 5 years as well. So that is my top 10. There you go. Love it, love it, love it. All right, good. Now it's time for us to speak about the Aaron's advice. So go ahead, and if you've got any questions, put them in the comments now. Aaron's advice. The best comments are going to get some signed paraphernalia from me. Look at this, signed wristband. I'm going to send them out to you, and you're going to be able to have these on. Actually, you can't put them on your wrist because it's going to rub away. You're going to have to just put it on your desk like that. Signed. Got 2 here, right? So Connor, hit me with some of the best Aaron's advice questions. What do we got?
Right, so, well, first off from MVP Ainsley.
MVP Ainsley.
She threw a question earlier, but it's been lost to the interwebs in the chat. I can't seem to see it in the chat anymore. So if you want to send that through again, please do. But she sent another one through saying this was in relation to your talk about Oprah. What about when people ask you to tone down because your personality is too big for them to handle? Best advice to handle that. And she's got a hashtag GFY.
Why ask me a question when you know what my response is going to be? GFY stands for, write this down everybody. Go fuck yourself. Ainsley's hung around for too long with me. Ainsley, there are 7.5 billion people on this planet, and some of them are going to hate you. Some of them are going to love you. Some of them are going to be ambivalent. And some of them are never going to know who you are. So what you need to work out is if you give a shit, and let's make sure it's no, and you need to be you. You'll find the people that want to be around you, you know? The fact I remember you is because you wear a hat every time you come to an event. It's because you're sitting up the front and because you're playing full out. And that, I think, is going to get you further than being somebody that goes into the sea of sameness. So for me, if people judge you, it's the same as somebody giving you a crappy comment on your Facebook when all you do is you ban them and you delete it and you move on because you're going to get those people in life. So for me, people say tone it down. Unless it's your mum, like don't tell your mum to go fuck herself, right? Like don't do that, right? If it's your mum, you just go, oh, thanks so much for caring. That's interesting, right? Yes, I'll see you at the next barbecue, right? But if it's not that, then you just go thank you for the feedback, and just do whatever the hell you want anyway. That's what I do for my family, because they'll judge you. Oh, they will judge you. Let me tell you, they will all judge you. They'll all judge you. You got all live. I get judged by family that haven't seen me in 10 years. I get judged by people that think that they're my friend. Like if you really just ignore them. If they don't take the hint, then you can use a GFY. But ultimately, there's 7.5 billion people on this planet. Life is too short to give a shit about what naysayers think, what keyboard warriors think, what how judges you think. Here's the deal for me. I only really listen to advice from people that have or do or are something I admire or want to be. If they're not one of those things, then why would I listen to them?
Yeah. That's it.
GFY. GFY, yeah. Yeah, it was GYF. GFY, that's right.
Yeah.
Go F you. Love it. Next.
All right, so quick one from...
And you can have a band.
And Scott Keating. Hey, Scott.
Which band do you want? Which band do you want? Hey, Scott, how you doing?
We do actually, Ainsley was nice enough to resend the question she had earlier. But let's do a quick one from Scott.
Yeah.
Hashtag Aaron's advice. When starting off getting your personal brand out, how often would you do the Facebook Lives?
Look, there's no such thing in my opinion as saturation. And we promote heavily on Facebook. We connect with people on social. If you follow in my socials, you scroll and all you do is you see a motivational, you'll see an inspirational. The thing is, if people are turned off by your message, then maybe they shouldn't follow you. People love what you do. They're hanging on to want to be able to find out what you're all about. So for me, when you're starting off, I think lives are a great way. They're authentic. Algorithm-wise, they push you up higher than everything else, just like this is, because it's a live program. And you're giving a chance to be able to be you, be authentic, and be genuine, because some people, they want to record 15 videos and then post the best one of them. The fact that you are a bit awkward at times, or you have to think about something, or you are spontaneous, that's the shit that people like. So I think when it comes to growing a brand, be you, get it out there more often. Facebook Live is a free medium on the most powerful marketing platform known to man called Facebook. And I would be using it as much as possible. And if people want to unfollow you because you happen to be the guy that does too much live, then great. Guess what? You have to pay for them to see your ad anymore. That's how I think about it. So there's no such thing as too much marketing when you're first starting. Cool?
Love it. We got a
Love
couple
it.
more here. So real quick, Ainsley's previous question was, with regards to building MLM businesses, does the old school of creating a list and categorizing the list still work? If you categorize the list, is that not judging people? Curious, as I'm working with people that believe this is still the way to build an MLM. Your thoughts, better ways?
Yeah, look, I think that there's going to be generalizations that you can have within any marketplace. But I think thinking that because somebody has a certain surname, or they're a certain age, or they're a certain something, that they're not going to fall into a category, that's probably the biggest mistake you can have. I mean, right now I'm in a room of people that are, between the ages of, 40 and 23, and most people that are in their 20s, people say they're lazy. Come and meet one of my team and let's call them lazy, right? If you categorize that person as lazy, or you categorize that person as, not playing full out, then, you take yourself out of a whole generation, because you go, oh, all the millennials are lazy, all the whatevers. You got to find the right people. So I don't believe in totally categorizing people out. It depends on the scale of a business. We're talking about MLM, well then we're talking about certain people you can meet and certain people you can connect with. I get that, I understand that, but I don't think generalizing and categorizing people into, well, because they're this age, they're this this demographic, we're not going to deal with them. You know, I think that you can, if you generalize too much, then you can get yourself into a world of hurt. So I wouldn't do that. I think in terms of databasing, it's a whole different topic, because your database categorizing should be based on their interaction with you. So if you've got a whole big database and you email them out ways that they can connect with you, they're going to self-select what things they want to do with you if you've got different options. So allow them to self-select what they want to do, as opposed to you selecting what they should do. Because I think you're going to find that people do surprise you in the 21st century as well. So my advice would be, in your industry, you know, multi-level marketing, your job is to find people. You know, it's not yes, you sell products, but the more people you find, the more you grow, right? So I wouldn't necessarily categorize that and say, well, I don't want to focus on millennials because they're all lazy. Go and find the hard workers. I don't want to focus on the baby boomers because they can't use Facebook. Well, some of them can't, but some of them can, you know? So go and focus on the ones that you think are your market, and surround yourself with the right people in MLM, regardless of age. I'm all about character. I'm all about character. You find the right character and you can train the skill.
Great, and we got time for one more from, okay, I'm going to mess this up. Izzy Zaid, I think.
Izzy Azalea? Isn't he supposed to be rapping or something right now? Iggy Azalea, shit, she really did fall from fame.
So we got Izzy on Instagram, who says,
I like
what
Izzy.
life experience made you the man you are today? That's a lot.
That's a lot. Let's start with another episode of our So what experience made me who I am today? Every experience. Every moron, every good person, every fall, every experience in my whole life has made me who I am today, because I've understood that everything happens for me, not to me. You know, and I've reworked that. You know, if I got caught up on failure, other people's opinions, my mindset, you know, sometimes failing me, you know, if it says, oh, you can't achieve, if I got caught up in all those kind of things, you know, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I'm no hero. I don't know more than most people. I just implemented more, and then I learnt more through being around the right people, and I just kept implementing it. That's the difference. I mean, I kind of think like this. If I wake up every morning and before I feed my body, I feed my mind with feeling good, then maybe I'm going to address my day better. If something happens to me, do I want to react to something by being frustrated, or do I respond to something by being inspired? You know, what am I going to choose to be? You know, I think that, you know, in life, you've just got to see things that if you fail, or if something happens to you and you can see the learning point in that to make your life better, and if you succeed and that makes your life better, then you can't lose. You can't lose. It depends on how you want to see it. The greatest people that you look up to have all come from adversity. They've just chosen for that to not be a label, but to be a legacy. That's the difference.
Short and sweet.
Short and sweet.
All right, well,
final questions?
I think that's all we've got.
We're good time for now? Yes. We're going to choose two of those. Iggy Azalea, you're going to get one of these. And I think Anastasia, just because, who else we have? Ainsley was on there as well. Ainsley, I think you're going to get one of these as well, because you can choose which one you want. You guys can fight it out. Red or green, red or green. All right, guys, thank you for choosing to join us and hanging out for us today at another episode of Aaron Live. I hope you guys have had some fun. This is the reason why we do it, hanging out with you guys, giving you as much as we can. If someone should have been here, share this right now and say you're an idiot, you should have been there, and they can watch this replay and hang out with us next time that we choose to do Aaron Live for our 10th. Is it our 10th episode next time?
10th episode, double digits.
Oh my gosh, 10th episode next time. Thank you for hanging out this month on Aaron Live.